Hey, thank you for coming back to the Free Mind. Decatur Wilson here. Hey, we're going to talk about today about financial freedom, breaking chains for those financial burdens or things like that you're going through. So we're going to talk about debt, how to get out of it. We're going to talk about emergency savings funds, and then really moving forward to investing in really creating legacy. So creating foundation, financial foundation, and moving forward so you can pass this education to your kids and well beyond. This is called The Plan. Let's go. Step one, mindset. So it's super important to have the right mindset when you're going through this process because obstacles are going to come along the way. It's going to feel huge and daunting. Your debt could be $100,000, could be $5,000, could be, $25,000, and it could be $500. It could be a lot of money. And so, when you look at that, the process may take a lot longer than what it may feel, hard because it's a change, right? So we have to change bad habits and make new habits. So one of the things that you really want to be disciplined in is understanding what we're going through here today, some of the steps, and then also adopting new habits is super important. And then also giving yourself positive affirmations day to day, telling yourself that you can do it, understanding what your why is. A strong why is crazy important when you're going through this. You want to reflect on why you're going through this and then just recreating those new habits because old habits are hard to break. It takes 66 days on average to create new habits. So it's super important to continue to push through and then also create those new habits. And then as you continue to go make progress and then move forward, celebrate yourself, tell yourself you're doing a great job, give yourself the positive affirmations and continue to push forward because you're almost there. Step two, save $1,500. Cut all extra spending, anything extra. I mean, things that you need to live, you need to continue to do, but do everything you can to save $1,500 as fast as you can. And you're going to park that money into a savings account that you're not going to touch. This is part of your discipline. So you're creating a new habit. You're going to have money set aside that's going to create a new habit and that you're not going to touch. It's going to be there for when you get the flat tire or there when you have, a water leak in the house and you need, to pay a deductible on insurance. Or it's going to be there when you need something, as an emergency. This is an emergency fund to kind of keep you rolling and keep you pushing through to the next step. Save that $1,500 and let's move on. Step three, budget. So this is a little bit more analytical part of the process. So you're going to be digging into your statements, your bank statements for your bank, your credit card statements to understand where all your money's going. Once you go through that, you're probably going to see, oh man, I'm spending a lot of money in a lot of random areas that you probably could cut pretty quick. You're going to find some ahas. So my suggestion is turn those things off really fast. Stop doing those things. It may be Starbucks coffee. It could be Uber Eats. Could be DoorDash. You got to stop that. You can't really eat out anymore because your why is bigger than eating out. It just is. So it's time to really start cutting some of the fat. Identify what your spending is, what's going out, and then you got to look at what's coming in. So your income. So you should have a surplus. If you don't have a surplus, we have a different problem. You're not making enough money. So once you identify I'm going to step back to this. Once you identify what your budget is and you trim the fat, like you're really tight on that, like you're really challenging yourself to go to the grocery store, buy some food, spend what you need to spend to live, and then identify what your income is, you should have a surplus. If you don't have a surplus, here's some options. You can get a side hustle, go to your employer, talk to your employer, ask them, hey, I need a raise, and request that. If that doesn't work, you probably need to look for different employment. Go find another job that's going to pay you because this is where things need to meet. Like you need to have a surplus to be able to work through this. So it's very important to understand your numbers. And you have to have a solid budget to move on to step four. Step four, paying off your debt. This could seem like a daunting task. You may have $50,000 worth of debt. You may have $75,000 debt. You may have $100,000 worth of debt. But you know what? You can get through this. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some discipline. It's going to take consistency. So what I recommend is you look at your debt, look at all your credit cards, and you could do it one of two ways. There's a debt snowball, and the debt snowball consists of You're looking at all your credit cards. You may have a $25,000 credit card, a $15,000 credit card, and a $1,000 balance on your credit cards. You want to take out the $1,000 credit card balance first, and then move on to the $5,000, and then move on to the $25,000. That's considered the debt snowball. The other way of looking at this and handling it and tackling it is you can use the debt avalanche theory. So look at all your credit card statements, understand what your interest rates on all your credit cards are. This is the biggest bang for your buck. You're taking out the highest interest rate first. So if the $5,000 credit card balance that we talked about in our example has the highest interest rate, you're going to go after that first. And then say the $25,000 balance credit card that you have has the next highest interest, you're going to go after the $25,000 next. And then the $1,000 will be the last because that has the lowest interest rate. So there's two different schools of thought with this. My recommendation, it doesn't really matter. Kill the debt. Take your surplus and just throw it to your debt. Sell whatever you need to sell to get your debt paid off and move forward. Be consistent. Have those good spending habits. Create those good habits to continue to push forward. And you know what? You're going to have mistakes. Things are going to happen. Obstacles, life happens. Don't be discouraged. Continue to tell yourself why you're going through this process, to remind yourself of why you're going through this process. And then also give yourself positive affirmations and pat yourself on the back as you're making progress. When you go from $50,000 to $25,000 worth of debt, that's huge progress. You're doing well. You have to pay off your debt to get to step 5. Step 5, emergency fund. Now this is dope. You've beaten all your debt down. You have no debt, zero debt, nothing. And you're on your way to creating some space and some breathing room for yourself. We're talking about creating an emergency fund. So at this point, you're creating some foundation. Look at your expenses. Identify what all your expenses are. And then you need to save 3 to 6 months of your expenses. My suggestion is you always want to be on the high end with this, especially if you're self-employed, you have a job that can go away pretty quickly. You want to be on 6 months, right? So because you're going to have to be able to find, more income during that period of time. But 3 to 6 months income, if you have a strong job, like you're a nurse, you're a doctor, or if you're an engineer, or, if you're highly sought out for profession, construction worker, totally fine with 3 months. I lean more towards the 6 months for all occupations, though. Save your emergency fund. You're going to have a little nest egg there sitting to the side that you never have to tap into because you're going to be doing great. Once you have your emergency fund funded, we're moving on to step 6. We're going to buy a house. Step 6, buying your personal home. For those of you that already own your personal home, you can move on to step 7. Here, we're going to understand what our monthly income is, again, so we'll review it from your budgeting period, and you're going to take 28% of your total monthly income, and that's what you're going to gauge as use as your mortgage payment. Next, you're going to pick up the phone and speak to a lender. You can talk to your personal bank, talk with them first, and figure out what they can offer you. There's many different packages. Generally, you want to pay around about 5% down on your mortgage, and then you tell them that, and it'll give you some numbers of what you're able to afford by looking at your income statements, your W-2 statements, your taxes, all that good stuff, and they'll tell you what you can afford, the payment that you can afford. Stick to your guns here. 28% of your monthly income is the number that you need to stay around or stay at. Keep in mind, buying your first home is one of the fastest ways in America to build wealth. Now that you bought your first home, we're moving on to step 7. We're going to start investing. Step 7, investing. So there's a handful of accounts that you can use to help you invest for the future. Healthy savings accounts, Roth accounts, and 401k accounts. First, if your employer contributes to your 401k and offers a match, you want to make sure you invest the match amount. So your employer may offer 5% match or 3% match. Invest 3% or 5%, whatever the match is, to your 401k. That's first. Next, you want to max out your HSA account, your healthy savings account. Max that out. Understand what the max contribution that you can go do for this year and max that out. Next, you want to step into your Roth account. Max out your Roth account. And then after you've done those two accounts and also you matched your employer 401k, you want to start working on maxing out your 401k account. Using compound interest is a powerful tool. So this is your path to building wealth. Once you get these things maxed out, you're really on your way. You're setting yourself up for retirement. And next, we're going to step into building legacy. Step 8, building generational wealth. Here, after you've maxed out your Roth account, your 401k, HSA, you've done all those things, you have some extra money. Open up an individual brokerage account with a Fidelity, Charles Schwab, whatever, account that you feel comfortable with, and buy an S&P 500 index fund. The one I use is FXAIX. It grows somewhere in the neighborhood of 7 to 8% a year. Sometimes you have better years at 12%, and just park your money there. After 30 or 40 years of investing in that account, be consistent, continually buy. And after 40 or 30 years, the hope is that you don't necessarily need your money because you've saved for retirement, and this is something you can pass on to your kids. As you're going through this process, it's important for your children to be holding your hand and you walking them through this same plan, so we can start changing our legacy and they get the financial education that they need and they won't make the same mistakes that we've made in the past. Well, there it is. That's the plan. Thank you for sticking with me here, Freedmind fam. If you stick with the plan, you'll win. We look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.